Well, we got a quick turnaround this week, and it actually feels good to get back on the court. I was really happy with the way we played on the road. Both opportunities to win both games against two good teams, and we're back here with Utah on tomorrow. And it's a game that's definitely winnable, but it's also a game that's definitely losable. So we want to make sure we're ready to play. So with that, I'll open up questions.
After the losses, that you have to keep the guys kind of up. And,
right.
What are some of the things you've tried to do to tell them?
Well, what we do is we focus on the positive stuff. I mean, you have to really I want them to know that these are games that are a couple of mistakes away from being in the win column, and we have a lot of those. And they've shown that. I think the way they come out shows that they're still very positive, very engaged. Practices have been great. It's really it's my job to make them know that what they're doing, that we're making progress, and what they're doing, we're eventually going to win a game.
Do you think there are moments on the court where things start to go a little south?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure that out when I watch the tape. I just think I thought in the Stanford game it was more they made plays at the end of the game that were really good plays, and we didn't. I thought in the Cal game, I thought we were trying not to lose as opposed to keep winning the game. So, it's been different things at different times, and it's not one thing that you can just put your finger on.
You started Barton, the most recent game. Is that something that you are considering doing on a regular basis?
It is, but he took a severe knee to the thigh in the Stanford game, so I don't know how fit he's going to be until I see him at practice today. He didn't practice yesterday at all.
What's your reasoning behind starting Barton?
I thought getting Ahmad off the ball would give him better opportunities. I think people were loading up on him at the point guard spot, and moving him to the 2 would get him more looks at the basket.
So it's more offensive and not defensive?
Yes, that is. It was more offensive. I had been starting Jamal for defensive reasons, so, but this was more of an offensive reason. And then, it wasn't solely offensive. I thought there was a nice matchup there for Charlie from a guard standpoint in the Stanford game.
The last 3 games, you guys have been right there with the win in grasp. Do you see that there's just something that will kind of push you over that hump?
No, I don't know what it's going to be. So you just have to keep digging and keep playing well and making fewer mistakes. Other than saying that to them, our game plan feels right. The guys have been following it. It's just really execution down the stretch, and it's either on the boards, on the defensive end, offensively. It's choose any one of the above.
Now that a few days have passed and stuff like that, was there anything you do differently at the end of that Cal game?
I actually might have beat myself up a little too much for not using the timeout, but we had a play called, and in that situation with I know I would have fouled us if we had called timeout. We might not have even gotten a shot up. We ended up not getting a shot up, but I thought we would get a shot up without calling a timeout. So, if I had it to do all over again, I'd probably do stuff at the beginning of the game differently instead of the end of the game.
What are you expecting out of Utah?
Good close games. I mean, it seems like every single game that I've watched either on tape or live has been close in the Pac-12 this season. So, they're playing a lot better than they played last year. They're playing with a lot of confidence. Jason Washburn is a very good player. They've got a lot of new pieces, so that's where we're expecting a tough game. Having said that, though, this is about us. We have to dictate what happens in games from here on out, and that's what we're working on.
How do you do that? How do you dictate so that the game is played the way that you want it?
You know, you just stick to your game plan. I thought our last two games we really dictated the game. It just didn't finish at the end. We have to continue to do that. We have to, as I said, stick to the game plan, especially defensively. You know, I think we have to make fewer mistakes down toward the end. But then it's not just at the end. There are lapses at times in the games where we talked about last year. I'm jumping around here, but we talked about last year getting 4 more stops. What we need now is to get those stops at the right times.
Coach, how concerning is it, or is it concerning that you talk about after a game, every close game, it's, we play 37, 38 minutes, need to play full 40. The fact that they go through those experiences, you think they learn from it and maybe apply it to the next 7-minute situation that the team hasn't been able to do that?
Well, the concern is that it gets to be psychological rather than physical. I mean, you know, it's more of a psychological, mental breakdown rather than any particular person making a sort of a physical error. You know, that's the concern, and what I'm trying to do is keep us positive enough where we can get past the mental part of it. I think if you get a couple of wins, there's a possibility that can happen. But if you continue to lose, then it becomes even more psychological.
Are you scared that it could snowball in the wrong way?
No, I don't feel that way. Each game we've played, I've thought we've played pretty darn good, and we're actually playing better together. We're playing better for longer periods of time. It's just, I don't think it's. I think it's just mental mistakes. But right now, it doesn't feel like it's going to continue. Each game we play, it feels like we're going to win it, and for a good part of it, I feel very confident. And then at the end, something happens.
You already mentioned Chale, but maybe is there any more experimentation that you're thinking about doing with the lineup? Maybe mixing with minutes.
Maybe.
Victor got more minutes on Saturday or Sunday than
Yeah, well, that was more of a function that Victor has been playing really well, and he was actually at this point before his suspension, and the suspension sort of knocked him back a little bit. So that didn't. While it felt different for you, it felt like it was time for him to be able to be in the game and help us out. But it's possible I could do some more experimentation. But there's personnel-wise, I think I've said this probably since the sort of middle of the non-conference. I could put all 10 of the guys who are not walk-ons in the game and feel comfortable about it. So it doesn't feel like that would be a surprise, but I kind of do that by feel as how the game's going and foul trouble and guys being tired, especially the second game on the road.
And just to make sure we have it right, if Chale does get to start, that means Ahmad would go to 2 and Roberto to the 3. So you'd be using a 3-guard lineup. There's not a chance where he would replace Ahmad.
No, I guess it's always a chance, but I don't want to give you my whole game plan so that they can read about it and then defend me against it. So, but I would suspect that Ahmad is going to start.
Do you see yourself generally going to the young guys more in the second half of the cycle?
Not necessarily. I think they've earned the ability to be in the games more. This second half is what we want to do is we want to go with the guys who are going to make us win. And I think we're still searching for that. So that's more my impetus than it is getting the young guys more experience. I think they've gotten a lot of experience and they're ready to play. Now we have to figure out the combination of guys that's going to make us win.
Coach, what do you think about the opponents in Utah and some of the things, the challenges they pose? They're a much different team than last year, aren't they?
Yeah. I said before that they're very much more confident than they were a year ago. So they're playing like they know they're going to win games. I think Jason Washburn's one of the best and most skilled big men in the conference. I think that Larry's a terrific coach and has got his guys prepared all the time, and they're going to come in and try and dictate the tempo. They want the game to be sort of in the 50s and 60s, and we want it to be up higher than that.
Is Colorado scary in that it's essentially the same personnel? They had a bit of a difficult schedule to make it look like they were down this year, but still very strong.
Well, I again, any team in this conference can beat any other team on the road or at home. So every team is a concern until you get on the court and you beat them. So we haven't even started to look at them yet because we've got such a long period in between. But having seen them play, they're a good team who's in the top half of our conference.
You mentioned that you feel like you're right there in these games, but at the end, something goes wrong. It also seems like Roberto has played really well, but at the end, he doesn't get a touch, or he's not the guy who's taking that last shot. Is there something about him that he needs to just be able to kind of take over with that killer instinct?
That's a possibility there, Phil. We try and put the guys in the right positions to do what they can do for the entire game. It might be the fact that we're all trying to do a little bit too much at the end of the game rather than sort of sticking with the way we were playing and sort of looking for each other. That's something we've been talking about as a team. But to your point, maybe we need a couple of people to step up at the end of the game, not singling anyone out. It's just it's sort of a fluid situation, and it's not something that's just an easy fix. Like, all right, let's get the ball to Roberto and have him shoot it. You have to get the ball into the guy who's open, and then he's got to make a play. Very similar to what Stanford did at the end of the game. They got the ball to a couple of guys, and they all made the right plays at the end of the game.
Having been in that situation a few times now, will that be beneficial in future spots?
It should be, and I keep saying it should be. The more experience you get at, the better you should get. But if we're standing here at the end of regular season and haven't been able to accomplish it, then there's something wrong.
Joe had a really good trip. Is this a case of a senior doing everything he can to get wins? Absolutely, John. The interesting part about Joe is that I was thinking because of his knees that he would have to play fewer minutes, and he's not only played more minutes, but he's played better. I'm sure most of you didn't know that last game he was sick. He threw up before the game, he threw up at halftime, he threw up during the game, and played a terrific game for us. And we need that. I mean, we need him playing like that every single second he's on the court. So it was really nice to see him play well. And I do think some of it is when you get down to the end of your career and you finally realize that these games aren't given at the next level. These could be your last games. I think there is for some people, there's a sense of urgency that kicks in.
You're exactly at the halfway point of the Pac-12. If you had to take away a few positives, maybe individuals that you've been pleased with so far, or just really any positives that you can take away?
The positives that I take away is that when you look at the tape, we're probably 5 or 6 possessions from being 5-4. That few. So that's number one. Number two, I think you talked about it a little bit, is the fact that we've got 4 freshmen that we can put in the game that I feel comfortable with contributing, being out there and not hurting us. That's a significant point as you get into the second half of the season and go into the Pac-12 tournament. That gives you some more weapons. And then the third thing, I would have to say, given the adversity that we've gone through, I like the character that this team is showing day in and day out. I mean, I'm really not seeing any sulking. I'm really having fun at practice. They're locked in on a daily basis, almost more so than they are because they're so focused on trying to get over the hump that it's been it's one of those kissing your sister things. It's been pretty pleasing to see
outside of not getting the wins. There's still a level of stick-to-itiveness, a level of aggression, a level of confidence, and a level of hope. So that's good.
You mentioned the character of the guys being able to come back and bounce back, but are there some of the guys that the losses are starting to make them sick, that they're just kind of can't handle it anymore?
Well, I don't think anybody likes losing on our team, and I don't think that any of them have accepted the fact that they're losing these games. I think it's worked in the other direction. Since they've been so close, such close losses, it's been it's been easier to get right back to work the next day and get right back on the horse. And actually, the way the schedule plays out for us, it's been pretty good. I mean, there's been little time to sort of wallow in your beer.
So you played all the contenders, maybe except Colorado so far. Who do you see as a favorite?
Well, I gotta still think that the guys we played early on are the favorites. I think that Arizona, UCLA, and Oregon are probably the tougher teams that we played. And I think you have to put Stanford in there. I mean, Stanford's playing real well. We played well against them, but I think if they can shoot the ball like they did against us, it's going to be hard for anybody to beat those guys. So of the games we've had so far, I'd say those four.
Coach,
Yeah.
Langston Morris Walker took 2 shots on the weekend. They were both threes, and he made them both. Is that right now for where he's at? Or can he bring that up a little bit?
Oh,
based on how he's shooting.
I think he has more in the tank. I think we just we're the ones holding him back. You know, when you think about it, he's playing behind Roberto Nelson at the shooting guard. That's a hard guy to beat out from a scoring perspective. But I tell you, he's such a hard worker and a good defender down the stretch there. You know, when we need stops, he might be in the game. So, you know, you're going to see more from Langston. He's going to keep getting better. You know, people don't realize how athletic he is because he's really playing more of a ground game, a defensive game for us, because that's what we need, and that's how he gets on the court. But, you know, he's shooting the ball really nicely in practice, and his confidence level and decision making has gotten better. So I've become more confident in putting him in the games.
Is he your best perimeter defender for guard-wise?
It's between him, Jamal, and Ahmad, who the best perimeter defenders are, and I think that sort of evolves from game to game. You know, right now Jamal's a little bit better because he doesn't get screened at all. Langston still runs into screens like a freshman would. I mean, you know, you don't learn how to play man-to-man defense in college the first year unless you come in already knowing how to play defense.
From that standpoint, Coach, do people come into programs a little less ready to play defense in terms of all the types of expectations they have in their high school programs or their AAU programs?
Oh yeah, I think most of these guys are behind defensively because they're usually the best players on their team, so they're looked to start and to stay in the game, so they don't get in foul trouble. A lot of teams play zone, and if they do play man-to-man, they're probably not guarding the other team's best player. So Jamal has been a nice surprise for us because he's come in with not only the ability to play D, but the mindset of a defender and how to really make a guy have a hard time. So, but I think for the most part, when we go watch high school games and AAU games, it's easier in high school to look like a good defender because there are fewer better players. Anything else? Great. Well, thanks for coming. Yeah.